Russian President Vladimir Putin is doubling down on his claim that Ukraine plans to use a dirty bomb. Many fear it could be an excuse for the Kremlin to increase attacks and possibly use nuclear weapons. And now Russia's also threatening to target commercial satellites from the U.S. and its allies if they get involved in the war. Foreign correspondent Tom Sufi-Burridge joins me live now from Kyiv with more on this. Tom, how serious are these Russian threats to target U.S. satellites?
Yeah, Diane, it was made by a senior official in Moscow, so in that respect, we have to take it seriously. At the same time, Russia is making a string of threats right now against Ukraine and its allies. Some of those threats seem to have more credence than others. I mean, it's the first time we've heard that Russia might target satellites, therefore we're talking about this threat. But the major caveat to this one is that Russia seems to be saying that if the US gets directly involved in the war here in Ukraine, it might target the satellites. And at the moment, we know the Biden administration is treading that delicate line, giving a lot of support to Ukraine militarily, intelligence, arms, training, but not getting directly involved in the war.
Putin's also accusing Ukraine now of planning to use a so-called dirty bomb. Russian forces, we know, are losing ground in Ukraine. So how do you decide what is rhetoric, what is a potential false flag, and what you can have some level of confidence in?
It's a great question, and I think no one can say with real confidence whether or not Russia is really going to carry out this false flag operation. The reason why we're all so concerned all over the world is because Russia has form on this. Having lived in Ukraine, having seen Russia's tactics over a number of years, we've seen Russia before warn that something's going to happen, frame Ukraine, and then carry out the act themselves. But whether or not Russia is really going to carry out a dirty bomb is hard to say and hard to judge. The Ukrainians are warning, including the Ukrainian defense minister in the last 24 hours, that Russia is tampering with radioactive waste at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the largest in Europe in the south, which Russia controls. And the Ukrainians believe that actually Russia could use that radioactive waste to create a bomb. But it's very uncertain to know whether or not really Russia will carry out with this. Of course, the rhetoric, the chance of escalation is incredibly high right now, and it's incredibly worrying.
Tom, Russia's also been overseeing nuclear drills over the last few days. These are routine, they happen annually, but is that increasing apprehension in Ukraine?
I think everyone's worried about, again, also Russia's potential use of nuclear weapons. That said, from the Ukrainian defense minister at the briefing we attended, he was quite clear that in his personal opinion, he didn't think Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin would use a nuclear weapon here in Ukraine. His words were that he still thinks the Russians, even though he accuses the Russians of multiple or thousands, tens of thousands of war crimes here in Ukraine, and we've seen the evidence ourselves, even though Russia is capable of a lot of things here in Ukraine, he still believes, in his words, that Russia is still acting in some sense pragmatically. And we've seen the warnings from the US and its allies and we believe the warnings really would potentially, well, the White House is effectively saying that there would be a very, very strong response to any use of nuclear weapons. Now, the White House hasn't told us what type of response. Analysts believe it could be a very, very strong conventional warfare response, with the US and its allies potentially hitting the Russian military in occupied parts of southern and eastern Ukraine incredibly hard, potentially denigrating the Russian military in a way we have really not seen on any type of scale so far in this war. And therefore, the theory goes that if Putin moved in this direction with nuclear weapons, it would potentially completely lose him here at the war here in Ukraine. But just the last point, just to really emphasize, is that we're already in this position with such rhetoric from Russia because Putin's war is going so badly right now.
Tom Sufi-Burridge in Kyiv for us. Stay safe, Tom. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.